Hey YouTube, Joe here. We're back again. So we've got the canoe paddle that we're making here. It's going to be an otter tail. This is part 3 in the series of how to make a canoe paddle. Part 1 we went over the strips that we were using to build the paddle, the 17 individual pieces of wood. In part 2 we did the entire laminating process and glued up a paddle blank here. Give you a better look at it. See what's going to be the blade in here, shaft, and it's going to be the handle. So today, what we're going to do is the process of marking out the lines to rough out the shape that we want, and running it through the bandsaw and getting it ready for some final shaping. So, let me put my glasses on here so I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to measure up from the bottom of the blade to about 26 inches. Small square here. So that's where we start. We're going to measure down. We're going to go right there, which is 6.5, 7 inches. Put a line on the outside strips. Now we're going to draw a line from where the end of the shaft is going to meet with the start of the blade, the throat. We're going to draw a line out to the sides at the widest point of the paddle. I'm going to mark a center line here first. Give me a second. Take a measurement off of here, put a little mark. From there we're going to go just under 6 inches. We're rolling right to the edges. Perfect. Very little wasted wood. And we're going to make a line there. That's just going to be our basic cut. We'll do a little shaping later. And there. Give you a better look at that. So here's where the shaft is going to end. Blades will start out. Here's the widest point of the blade. We're going to measure down on the tip to where we want the narrowest point, and then we're going to put a couple more lines on it. So give me a second here. Go up there. Put that over. Find your center line again. Mark at the middle. So up here we're going to be just under 6 inches wide at the widest part of the blade. And down the bottom we're going to be around the 4-inch mark. A couple marks there. Over a yardstick. Line everything up. And again on the other side. Just one of several different styles of canoe paddles that I build. And of course I also build the Greenland style kayak paddles. I build more of those than I do canoe paddles, but we're kind of ramping up the canoe paddles now as well. So here's where it's going to be the narrowest, coming up to the widest, and then back in to the shaft, so for the throat. Next up, we're going to make some space here, and we're going to run this through the bandsaw. I'll be back as soon as I move a couple things around. Okay, so we're ready to run the paddle through the bandsaw, make the first set of cuts. Going to fire things up here and we'll get at it. there's the rough shape of the blade. Next, we're going to put the marks on the grip and cut that out for you. Alright, so we're back. We got the rough shape of the blade. Now for the grip. We're going to set her down here. We got a couple templates. Nope, actually I have a couple really nice ones on thin hardwood, but I cannot find them right now. I seem to have misplaced them while reorganizing the workshop here recently, so I made up a couple real quick out of a couple pieces of cardboard. Not perfect, but it'll do. So we're going to get this centered over where we want the grip. Get that all lined up. Take my trusty pencil. And we're just going to draw out a rough outline of where we want to make the cuts. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is all going to get smoothed out when we're doing the shaping and doing the sanding. Lots of sanding. And yes, I have a dog named Sandpaper. True story. Pretty much what I want. I'll give you a little look at that. That's the shape we're going to start with, just a rough cut. Get rid of the excess wood. We're going to run that through the bandsaw, and we'll be right back. And here's my dog, Sandpaper. Pretty much what I want. I'll give you a little look at that. That's the shape we're going to start with, just a rough cut. Get rid of the excess wood. We're going to run that through the bandsaw, and we'll be right back. First cuts on the grip. Next off, we're going to mark the profile lines, the side profile lines along here. Get rid of some of the excess wood there. We're going to mark the center line. Put this up where you can see it. Center line up along the blade, also along the edge. And then we're going to have some profile lines, getting rid of some of the excess wood. We're going to take our trusty bandsaw, raise this bad boy up. And then we're going to be cutting out a lot of the excess wood on the bandsaw. Run that through on both sides and remove some of the excess off the grip. And we'll be back to show you more of that in a second. Okay, so we got the paddle mounted on our rack here, and we're going to draw some lines on it and get it ready to run it through the bandsaw again. getting a center line on the blade. Mark a line across. Match that up a little bit better. Marking the approximate thickness of the blade. It'll get trimmed down in the shaping process a little bit as well. This is just for reference. And draw a couple lines across. Now that we've got that, unclamp it. Put this bad boy up on its side. And clamp her back down. So the lines we have at the end, we're just going to put reference marks on the side of the blade here. Just like that. And then come up here. In the center of this guy. And the center down here. Draw a line up here. Get a ruler out. Get the centers. Some of get ready to cut off some of the excess here. We're going to draw a line going up the side, which is where the cuts are going to be. The line down the center is simply a reference line as we're shaping the paddle. We know what we're working with. So we're just going to taper up and down. So it started coming down the throat, and we'll just down just a little bit. There. There. Now, give you a little bit of a look at that. Get some center lines on the blade. And we got reference lines up along the side. And I'm going to put the same thing up here. Pause the camera for now and I'll be back when that's done. Okay, we've got both sides of that done, and now we're going to take our template and work on the grip a little bit. We're going to draw some lines to remove a little bit of excess wood with the bandsaw. Save a little time with the carving tools. Center line on this guy. Always nice to have all your reference points. And there it goes there. And I'll flip this over, get the other side, and I'll draw a center line along the top of the grip as well. And we always want to keep our pencils nice and sharp. Alright, let's make these cuts. Okay, so that's it for part 3. We've got the paddle blank cut out to its rough shape, and the grip. A lot of excess wood removed from the grip. It's now ready for the planes and the spoke shaves and all that kind of good stuff, which is going to be part 4, which I should have up in just a few more days. Hit the like button down below, leave good comments, and if you haven't already subscribed, do that for me. I appreciate it. We'll be back soon with part 4.